us get locked into the prisons that we're in is because we don't know who we are. We've allowed society to dictate who we are. That's what I did. I allowed society to dictate who I was because I didn't have a firm sense of understanding. See, at the age of 11, my mom, my biggest cheerleader, was sentenced to 28.5 years in prison. And when I lost her, my life spiraled completely out of control. She was an integral part of who I was. And at that age, she was helping me define my identity. And I'll tell you real quickly, my mom, that day that crime happened, I went into the house and I was hungry. There was no food in the refrigerator. I opened it. There was a box of baking soda, a bag of flour, and a few open beers. I turned back to the cabinet, thinking I'd find something to eat there. There was a can of pinto beans and a can of tomato paste. And I started thinking to myself, man, what can I eat with beans and tomato paste? But my great grandmother lived around the corner. She always had food. So I go around the corner, right? Go in there, knock on the door. My grandmother opens the door. She sees it's me. Hey, grandma, how you? I'm good. Grandma, I'm hungry. Where your mom at? I said, I don't know. Of course, I'm lying. My mom is up on the corner where all the adults are, but I don't want to get her in trouble. My grandmother looks at me for a moment. Come on in this house. I follow my grandmother in the house. I sit down at the table. She starts fixing me something to eat. Now, while she's fixing me this food, I'm staring out the window. Out the window, I can look up on the corner. And on the corner, what we consider the corner, this is where the corner store was. There were 3 clubs up there. There were pool halls, there were liquor spots, there were gambling spots. And people from surrounding towns would always come to this small town that I was from because there was always something to get into. Me, being who I was, I always wanted to be in that environment. So as I'm sitting there and I'm eating my food, I'm plotting. I'm thinking, okay, as soon as I leave here, I'm going up on the corner. If my mom catches me, she'll run me home. I'll come back out again. While I'm plotting and I'm planning, I hear this gunshot. Now, hearing this gunshot in and of itself is not strange because I'm in a very dangerous environment. I'm in a bad environment that's not really conducive to low crime. I hear this gunshot, and immediately the thing that hits me is I know that gunshot involved my mom. I don't know how, but I know that it did. A few moments later, there was a knock on the door and someone came and they told my grandmother the news that my mom had just shot someone. When she did, I remember feeling cold. I remember feeling empty on the inside. I remember feeling like a part of me had died. We found out that there was a bully in the neighborhood who had been bullying my mom. And on this particular night, he cracked the joke and my mom cracked the joke. He didn't like what she had to say. So he picks her up by the neck and he starts choking her. He's about 200 pounds. My mom is probably 110, 115. And no one comes to her aid. Finally, he slams her to the ground. My mom, she's tired of the abuse. She goes home and she gets a gun. They sentenced my mom to 28.5 years in prison. I saw my mom once in the county jail at the age of 12. The next time I saw my mom, I was 25 and she was coming to see me in prison. I tell you that story so that you get a little bit of a backdrop of how I grew up. And what you're going to notice is that circumstances are always going to happen to you. Situations are always going to happen to you. You can't control the situation. Some circumstances you just can't control, but there is one thing that you can control. You can control your response to the situation and to the circumstance. That's the only thing that you have control over. Me being the age that I was, I really didn't understand that. So when my mom left, I felt abandoned. I felt lost. My great grandmother decided to take custody of me. Now, she did this against the wishes of other family members. Other family members said, you should allow the state to take him. Let him go to foster care. He's too far gone. My great grandmother decided to raise me. For that, I'm forever grateful. And I love her. She just passed away last week. And I love her because of what she did, because she went out on a limb to take me in. But during the next 5 years I spent in that house, I was beat down mentally, emotionally, not by my great grandmother, but by other family members. They spoke negative words around me on a consistent basis about me and my mom. I heard things like, that boy ain't used to having nothing. His mom didn't know how to take care of him. You should have let the state take him. Why can't you be more like Mike? Gary, why can't you be more like Jay? Why can't you be more like Shannon? They don't give us these problems. You could be just like your mama. My family began to speak those words to me, and I began to internalize those words. And I not only internalized those words, but I began to repeat those words back to myself subconsciously. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize there was a chorus going on in my own head that I had been singing. See, the powerful thing, one of the keys is in moving from your prison to your purpose is realizing what type of chorus are you playing in your own mind. The reason why I utilize a chorus is because when you think of a song, any song, the most catchy part of it is the chorus. You hear it 1 or 2 times and immediately you can pick up the chorus just like that. But the chorus is not only catchy, the chorus ties the verses together. Our life is the same way. There's an internal dialogue that we have going on in our own mind. And at any given period of time, when you look back over your life, if it was bad, what was the internal dialogue going on in your mind? And when it changed to good, what was that internal dialogue going on in your mind? What was the chorus that you had on repeat? See, for me, the chorus that I had was doubt, despair, and negativity. I realized that I had to change doubt, despair, and negativity to faith, hope, and victory, because I had to speak a truth to myself that I still couldn't see. If you're striving to move from prison to purpose, from limiting beliefs, negativity, past hurts, past failures, you have to reflect on the fact, hey, what am I telling myself? What are the words that I'm hearing? That's one of the most powerful keys that I realized. And during my time in prison, what was essential for me was to utilize prison as a university. I prayed and I asked God to not allow me to leave prison like I came in. And then during the next 12 years and 9 months, I disciplined myself to make that a reality. I understood that the chorus that I had been playing in my head was the wrong one. So what did I have to do? I had to reframe it. I am smart. I am intelligent. I am a success. I'm going to be successful. I'm not like my mom, even though I was still in prison. I am not a failure. I'm here for a purpose. I'm here for a reason. I did that every day. I read scripture. I meditated on scripture. I memorized it. And all of those things that spoke truth to me, I internalized that and I repeated them back to myself consistently. I divorced friends. I signed bills of divorcement from guys that I met back there because I was striving to be better and they were striving to remain the same. And then the second thing that I'll say is that to move from prison to purpose, sometimes you're going to have to sign a bill of divorcement. It's not that you hate the people. It's just that you really care about your growth. You really care about your well-being. You really care about freeing yourself from a prison that inhibits you from growing to become your best. So in signing that bill of divorcement, you're basically just saying, hey, look, we're going in 2 totally different directions. It's not that I don't love you. It's not that we're not cool, but hey, this is what I see for myself. And in doing that, doing it in love, what it does is it inspires that person one day that, okay, if they did it, I can do it as well. One of the last keys that I'll hit on, because I know my time is limited. The question that I want to leave you guys with is this: who am I? who you are is central to the internal dialogue, your chorus that you have playing in your own head, how you see yourself, the decisions that you make. Because if you know who you are, then you know who you ain't, as my great grandmother would say. And asking the question, who am I? There are 4 central things that you have to answer. The first one is your name. Who are you? Okay, what's your name? What have you accomplished? Sometimes we ask that question, and some people say, I haven't accomplished anything. And they just don't realize you woke up this morning. You're raising your kids. You graduated high school. If you didn't graduate high school, you're studying, you're reading to be better. You've started a business. Even though it may be faltering and not be where you want it to be, you're in the process of making it happen. So there are certain things that we accomplish and we don't even give ourselves credit for. What are you most proud of is the third question. And then the last and the most important question is, when you die, how do you want to be remembered? That particular question works as your GPS. So that's what I'll leave you guys with in Transformation 3.0, moving from prison to purpose. These are the things that you have to do to break free of the prison that confines you and that holds you back. Thank you.
I guess, Gary, you can still carry on because our next speaker did not join yet. She's having some trouble. And yeah, I mean, as I said, if you could give some those, changes in you that happened, or you understood that what needs to be done and why, most people become regretful. They go on the wrong path, that everybody has done wrong to me, leave alone everyone. Even, my luck has been not with me. So how to get away from that?
Well, for me, when I was sitting in that prison cell after I was in the county jail and I was sitting in that prison cell, a few things started, to awaken within me. The first thing was I had to realize that it was the enemy at work. And that wasn't the enemy, the devil, somebody hiding and plotting and planning on me. It was the inner me. That's the first responsibility that you have to take. It's the inner me. Acknowledge, okay, I'm in a bad place and I don't want to be here, but who got me here? You have to first accept responsibility, because you can't fix what you won't face. And ultimately, when you make decisions, they're your decisions, and you have to deal with the consequences of that. So for me, it was, okay, I should have listened. I didn't. And now I'm here. There has to be another way to live, because my way doesn't work. I started to reflect on the fact that, okay, my grandmother told me if I would have listened to her and if I would have went to school, they would have provided this and provided that. And I started to realize, okay, I kind of messed up. And I remember looking at this Bible and I thought to myself, if my grandmother's advice would make me successful, how much more successful would God's advice do for my life? And I picked that Bible up and I began to read. I didn't read it to get out of prison. I read it because I wanted to be a better person. So after accepting responsibility and realizing that you put yourself in that situation, most people never get to that, accepting responsibility, because it's always pointing the finger. It's always looking for an excuse to blame someone else, because as long as I can blame someone else, I don't have to do the work. But once I accepted the fact that it's my fault, it's my life, and I made terrible decisions, now the next question was, what are you going to do about it? Now, when I picked that Bible up and I began to read it, that was the process of personal transformation for me. That was the beginning of that journey, because I started to see certain things. I was reading that Bible because for me, Christianity was the vehicle that I was accustomed to, is what I knew. The only person that was ever righteous in my life was a preacher that used to come to my great grandmother's house and used to fix things around the house. So of course, if I want to be righteous, that's my model. So I picked that Bible up and I began to read it. And the second thing, something else, that what else started happening, accept responsibility, one, then you begin to do the work, which is another heart. That the work was me reading that Bible and realizing that, okay, I messed up, but I have to forgive myself. I beat myself up. I ruined people's lives. I altered their life. But now there has to come a point where I can't go back. I can't change that, but I have to forgive myself so that I can move forward. And then in the process, the next thing that came was my mentality about myself began to change. My law of the mind began to change, because everything begins here. Zig Ziglar says it. Everything begins here in the mind, and then it flows out. You can never rise higher than your own self-perception. My self-perception was shot. It was ground zero. It was bottomed out because of the chorus that I had been singing, the chorus that had been implanted in my mind for so many years. So after accepting responsibility, after acknowledging, okay, it's my fault, I have to do the work. First, you need to forgive yourself. Now you begin to read this text, and you begin to see something in yourself. Okay, I'm here for a purpose. I'm here for a reason. I got greatness within me. I have a responsibility to the world to give what I know. The only person who can give it like me is me. That was another shift in my thinking, because I began to see my own value. I began to see my own self-worth. I began to see my own dignity. I began to realize that my life wasn't it wasn't a roll of the dice. I wasn't just here because my mother and my father made a mistake, because, I wasn't just here because I was that unplanned pregnancy. That wasn't the case. I began to realize that there was a greater theme running here. I'm here for a reason. And once I internalized that for me, that was the greatest thing. That wasn't the only thing, though, because now you still have issues that you have to break through. You still have things that are going to show up in your life. And that's why you have to continuously reflect, look at yourself. What is the chorus that I'm saying? And then mentors were very powerful for me. When I got my time and then I got sentenced to prison, I had never seen men on a level like that for me. I was used to people commanding respect. If they did it with words, it usually was followed up with some force, or you knew that they could follow it up with some sort of violence. If people respected them, it was because of money, it was because of relationship. In prison, what I saw men that looked like me garner respect based on their mind, based on their intelligence. That was the most powerful thing for me. And I wanted to emulate that. So my first mentor was a brother by the name of Malik. He was a Muslim. He'd been down for about 14 years. He was the smartest guy I'd ever met. Knew every word in the dictionary. He was the first Black man that I knew that came from a life like I came from, but he was getting articles published in a prominent newspaper. I watched this guy teach himself how to write a play in prison, act in and direct that play for the entire prison population. So when I started writing plays and acting in and directing my own plays in prison, I did it because of Malik. I did it because of my mentor. Khalid was another mentor of mine. These guys shaped who I was. He was 18 and he was the imam of the Muslim community. Never seen that. I always knew that young people could be smart, but not wise. I attributed wisdom to older people, but he was a leader of men who were old enough to be his father. his uncle, his grandfather. He spoke Arabic and English, came from the same environment I came from, kept a book in his hand all the time. That amazed me. I never saw that. And he would often call me to the side and he said, hey man, read this, tell me what you think. And I'd read a portion of it. He said, man, you got great insight. He taught me to trust the process. He taught me that regardless of the situation that I found myself in, with focus, determined effort, I could rise above that and I could be better. My greatest mentor was my elder Baker. He was a historian, self-taught historian. And he taught me the importance of understanding my history and my culture, and that we learn it not to be walking, talking books, but we use the knowledge to encourage others, to inspire young people, to teach a truth. He taught me that I was a leader. He taught me, how to study systematically. Then there were other guys, Oyama and Ngu, revolutionaries, Bugs. He was a Christian with a genius financial IQ. Mazik, a college graduate. Al, my spiritual mentor. This was a guy who knew the whole book of John in the Bible and could quote it word for word. What happened was these guys saw something in me and they began to express it. They saw value in me and they began to affirm that value. That's very, very powerful. So often people have never had their own value affirmed. So when you ask the question, what have you accomplished? The main reason why a lot of the young people and some adults that we deal with here, why they can't rattle off accomplishments is because no one has affirmed their greatness to them or for them. And then they in turn do the same thing to themselves and they never affirm their greatness. One of the keys that we utilize is writing down even the small things that you've accomplished, just writing those down. What are you most proud of? Writing those things down. Who are you? So that what all of that basically says is I got my identity in prison. I didn't get it in the world. The things that were imparted to me in prison were the things that should have been imparted to me as a young person. But the key is, it doesn't matter how you start, it matters how you finish.
Yeah, very powerful, Gary. Yeah, as you said, that self-awareness can be anywhere, anytime, is what is so powerful. And then I think something gets in line, and if you want it so bad, it will happen, is what I get from your very touching story and inspiration as well. Yeah, anyone have any question or wants to add anything?
Yeah, hi Gary. So that was
Hey.
pretty interesting how you converted all that negativity into positivity. It really takes a lot of spirit to really come back. So yeah, I think the society, friends, and a lot of them around you will distance themselves. That is another social pressure that you need to deal with as well. Great to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gary. Most people, we feel that, if we should not share a story, we should hide it. But I mean, really brave of you to come out, share your story, make it a lesson, because once you have lived a very smooth life, there's nothing, we don't even think of the extremes. So what a proud moment, I would say, that that transformation happened, and you are in such a good place right now. Thank you again.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, so we are joined by our next speaker, and the topic for our next topic would be Parental tips for a safe COVID-19 educational transition back into the classroom. I think this topic is very, very essential right now. And because we are still as parents thinking, what should we do? We are weighing on different aspects and we are still a little doubtful. So school site safety plans, parents' educational rights, psychoeducational assessment testing requests for school records, all of it will be discussed by our guest speaker today, Lisa Joseph. She is an author, speaker, and a legal analyst. So whatever she says, she has the legal mindset. So she's also the author of Heads or Tails, and she advocates for all children internationally as well. And she's filming for a project to bring educational awareness to parents and teachers around the world. The goal is international safety and educational reform. But one thing I would ask Lisa to also share, that she has a very unique story, again, just like Gary. I mean, she would be better person to explain it, but how she also had a very tough time and a tough situation, and how she got out of it, and she has a wonderful life now. So thanks, Lisa, for joining in, and over to you now.
Thank you, ma'am, for having me on your show. I greatly appreciate it. However, I don't know. I can't see you guys on Zoom. I don't know if I've done this right or not, but can you see me?
Yeah, if you can share your screen, please, if you start your video.
Okay.
Just start video is there. If you start, then we can see.
Speak. I don't know what happened.
There is an option wherever you have joined is start video. If you can just click that. You are on a laptop or phone? You got muted now, or else you can just get started. Lisa, we can't hear you. Okay, maybe we'll wait for, I think she needs to join in back. So sorry about the technical glitch. So yeah, I see our attendee Madhu, Shiva. Do you have any comments, any feedback? Hello?
Yeah. So Julian, meanwhile, you can tell about the youth sessions or any topics this week and next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, just letting you, as I was touch based earlier, that we have these two sets of group youth webinars, one for the younger youth group. And this week we have it on Friday at 8:30 p.m. EST. And the topic that they chose might also interest you. It's their favorite movies or series, whatever they watched and they liked, and they will they went deep into that and why they liked and how they relate to those movies. So it will be interesting. The kids, the age are from 6 years to 11 years, but their way of looking at something, be it movie, book, books or series, whatever they are watching, what they are taking in, what they like and dislike. If you have a kid and if you want to explore with them, please join the Zoom link as well. It's the same Zoom link as you have joined in this session. And for the older youth group, we have another interesting topic is about the success and failure of an organization. So how an organization, be it a nonprofit or a profit business, how they one company just booms and the other company fails. So there must be, you know, as when they say that there is a person behind a business's success, we cannot forget that there is a person or a team behind a business failure as well. So kids, youth, they are exploring, they are comparing. For example, Kingfisher and SpiceJet, as far as I remember, one of the comparisons. So it will be an, interactive session. We encourage the community to join in. After the webinar, after they have expressed what they feel about the topic, it is open to the community, and the community can join and talk. And we would really encourage parents, kids, youth, whoever to join in, mentor, encourage our youth. It is a platform for the community. So as a community, if you can join in, it would be great. So this is all that is lined up for this week, but we do not stop any week. The prep sessions continue every Tuesday and Thursday. For older youth group, it's from 4 p.m. EST. And for the younger youth group, it's from 8:30 p.m. EST. And both of the groups have their live sessions, as I already explained. And then Let Us Talk It platform also takes care of your health. So we have our yoga session every Wednesday at 9 p.m. EST, and every Sunday, 9 a.m. EST. So that is also something we do. And there are other various startups, plans, initiatives. If you're willing or if you're interested, please contact us, email us at webinar@letustalkit.com, and we can guide you to join whichever group or topic you are interested in. Srini, anything else? I'm not sure what happened with Lisa. Is she able to join, or she has some technical issues? But yeah, we'll just wait for a couple of more minutes. So yeah, any feedback or anything? Again, I would ask Shravya. Shravya joined. Shravya, can you unmute and introduce yourself? Or Shiva or Madhu? Okay, if not, then Srini, do you have anything to add on?
No, I don't have anything to add on, but I think so. We're trying to figure out the technical issues, right? With Lisa, did we try calling her directly?
Yeah, no, I tried earlier. I don't know what happened, but if you can just carry on with this, then I can give her a call one more time, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. We can do that. Yeah. So Gary, probably, you can you can talk, you can tell us about, so how are you making your living now? And what is the latest on, what's going on now in your life?
Oh, what I'm doing currently?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm the program coordinator for an organization called Engaging Men and Boys. And what we do is we transform men and boys and change the narrative of domestic violence and sexual assault, and also helping young men and realize, what healthy masculinity is, and to be leaders in their communities and in their families.
Oh,
That's
great to hear that. And which
Yeah.
geographies do you operate, Gary? Which
I'm sorry?
locations?
Oh,
Which
I'm in South-
geographies or cities you operate?
Oh, I'm in South Carolina.
Okay,
On
so
the
that
East
is a
Coast, yes,
region
sir.
that you work. Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, the organization is international, but I'm operating in South Carolina. Yes, sir. Yeah, we speak as well, but every day, like right now, this is the work that I'm doing right now, which is amazing work, because if we can push if we can get young males to understand what healthy masculinity is, then we're definitely ahead of the game. That's the key for us right now, and some of the things that we discuss, is being strong while knowing how to leverage your strength so as not to be domineering. Is being a leader while knowing how to leverage your leadership and not be a dictator. Is being loving while knowing how to leverage your love so as not to be manipulative, controlling, or abusing. Is being confident while knowing how to leverage your confidence so that you don't come off to be cocky. And it's being self-assured while knowing how to leverage your self-assurance so as not to be arrogant. And it's being knowledgeable and in touch with your emotions and feelings while you know how to leverage them in situations that you'll find yourself in, because so often as men, we're taught to suppress our feelings, suppress our emotions. We have to be tough. We have to be the strong guy who can go out and he can do all these things. And of course, we want to be providers. We're made that way. But I think that when we close a part of ourselves up, then that just opens the door for a whole lot of other problems. So that's the work that we're doing currently.
Wow, so you dedicated yourself full-time for this cause. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I asked the question, when I posed the question, who am I? And the fourth question in that is, when you die, how do you want to be remembered? For me, I want to leave a lasting impact. I want to contribute to the advancement of civilization. And you do that by contributing to the advancement of human beings, because human beings propel civilization forward. I lost my grandmother last week, my grandmother and my aunt who raised me, and we had double funerals. And while I was sitting in that funeral, so many people got up and they spoke about how my grandmother was their grandmother and the impact that she had in the community. And it just reaffirmed to me and let me know that, that's why I do what I do, because I watched her do certain things. I didn't even realize it, but to me, that's the greatest achievement that you can have. When you die and when you pass on, you're remembered by the lives that you changed in a good way.
Yeah, very well said. I think, that's how you can live forever. Yeah, so
Yes.
pretty amazing. So yeah, Julian, I think probably, if the speaker cannot join.
Yeah,
the other
she's having
speaker,
some
that we can
technical
conclude.
issues, and yeah, she will not be able to join. I think we can get her in some other webinar, and I mean ZIPINAR. And yeah, thank you, Gary, for your time, for being so patient, and yeah, sharing your story as well.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Srini, do we have anything to add on?
No, you can conclude.
Okay. So thank you everyone for joining in, and please, as I said, do encourage our little ones as well. And we have this Friday, our younger youth group webinar, live webinar on the topic, their favorite movies and series, and our older youth group live webinar on Saturday at 4 p.m. EST, the topic being the success and failures of an organization. So hope to see you there. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.